Today we take the fourth step toward understanding the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. Before we proceed further, in this episode, we shall try to understand the broad conceptual universe of the Bhagavad Gita, which is strikingly different from that of Abrahamic faiths or other faiths born outside India. So if they have to understand what Bhagavad Gita says, they have to understand first the broad conceptual framework and the broad conceptual universe of the Bhagavad Gita. The first important contrast is that the Bhagavad Gita believes that every creature has a soul. Now, this seems very commonplace to the Indian, but this is not the case with the Abrahamic faiths. The mainstream Abrahamic faiths believe that only humans have souls and the other creatures don't have any souls. In contrast, the Bhagavad Gita says that not only every creature has got a soul, but all of them, all the souls are fractions or portions of God Himself. Now it makes all the difference. It prompts one to view with kindness every soul, every creature, and to be kind to them. The second important difference is that while in the Abrahamic faiths, heaven is the last spiritual destination for everybody, where there is unmixed joy. But the Bhagavad Gita says that heaven is not a place where one remains eternally. When one has been substantially compensated, sufficiently compensated for his good deeds on earth, then he has to fall back into the cycle of birth and death and begin his journey afresh. Next time he may be in hell. Today he is a man, tomorrow he may be an animal, or he may be a god, small g, not capital G. This is called avagaman, going and coming, going and coming. Till this going and coming continue, and it continues as we saw in the first episode of Cosmic Drama, till practically eternity. It's very excruciating, being born and dying every time, having disease, and there are moments of joys also, but there are moments of suffering, agony, inevitably. With everybody it happens. Now the science that Bhagavad Gita teaches is how to stop the cycle of birth and death and to get back to our original home, the abode of God, which is beyond time and space, which is beyond the material creation. That is the world of being, and this is the world of becoming. The Bhagavad Gita says that the fundamental problem of suffering can be only resolved by transcending nature. It's three gunas, three dimensions, satoguna, rajoguna and tamoguna, and then attaining a transcendent state which is called trigunatita avastha, and then getting into the home of God, which is our original home, getting into the being of God, from where we arose. From there, we can always come back voluntarily to Earth and planets like Earth to give service to humans and other creatures. But that would not be under compulsion of the laws of nature, laws of karma. We come from there fully knowing who we are and go back fully knowing who we are, live here fully knowing who we are. And therefore, our acts and deeds do not create consequences or fruits for consuming which we have to be reborn, to be rewarded or to be punished. By saying that all souls are fractions of the same one God, the Bhagavad Gita gives a great message of essential spiritual unity of not only mankind but all creatures, all life. When we go back to our original abode, this is called God attainment, attainment of Godhood, nirvana, mukti or moksha. And heaven is not the abode of God according to the Bhagavad Gita. It is a place to be rewarded for our good deeds. Bhagavad Gita, therefore, teaches us the science of removing suffering permanently from this life and then from the life beyond. And the techniques that it teaches ensure that through the same techniques we remove our sufferings here and the same techniques, the effects of the same techniques leads us to our original home, the abode of God. Nature is a force which represents matter, and God and his fraction soul represent consciousness. Creation is a mix of the two. Nature works under the control and guidance of God. And nature is not what we see visibly and audibly. This is called apara prakriti, the visible nature. But it is born, or it arises out of the formless, transcendent nature. Like God is formless essentially, nature is also formless essentially. It gives rise to matter and material bodies of the creatures, including humans. And God, by establishing, giving fractions of himself, establishing them into the bodies of organisms, creates life. Now, the relationship between nature and God is very mystical and mysterious. At this stage, we shall not dwell upon this subject and will handle it later. But nature is the cause of all misery and suffering, and the souls are essentially free from all suffering, and they feel suffering because of the wrong notion that they acquire, that they are the body and the mind. They are neither the body nor the mind. Now again, the Bhagavad Gita will teach how to separate ourselves, which means our souls, from the body and the mind. In the Abrahamic faiths, there is no concept of rebirth. Every human being is created for the first time by God. He was never before there. He never existed earlier. His soul is the first time creation of God. And he has got only one life to live. He can't improve upon it. That is not the worldview of the Bhagavad Gita. It always gives you a chance to improve. Even if you go to hell because of your bad deeds, in the hell you are punished sufficiently for your bad deeds, and then you come back and you get a fresh chance to do better and to go to heaven. Why to punish somebody eternally?